T-Kid.
going on? Hey, what's up, man? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you really well. Welcome,
Good.
welcome, my brother. Welcome to the Museum of Graffiti's Artist Talk Live program. Uh, I'm super excited you decided to do this. I mean, you're a great style master, and I've known you since I was a kid. And here we are as OGs.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
I'm really happy to have you with us.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
So T-Kid,
Yo,
I'm gonna switch my
man.
screen over so I can read a bit of your bio to folks. Uh, uh, T-Kid is a well-known style master from the Bronx, New York. He started in the 1970s tagging the name King 13 every time he'd win a challenge, performing daredevil tricks on swings in local parks. He was a
Yeah.
short-lived member of a gang called the Bronx Enchanters and the Renegades of Harlem, where he learned how to paint trains. He
Yeah.
later became the president of TNB, the Nasty Boys, and ex-president of the Vamp Squad, TVS, one of the most notorious and best style writing crews in New York City. T-Kid is an active artist, and works can be seen in the Bronx as well as around the world in galleries and museums. He's also a member of the Mac crew from Paris. And a little tidbit for you Star Wars fans: he was originally asked to be the narrator of Star Wars, but he declined. We'll get into that a little bit later. But that little tidbit, I was thrown back. I was like, wow, that would have been amazing.
Yeah, that was ill, man. That was I was in Henry's studio, man, down there on Grand Street, man, and he said that I had a good voice for that, So he was like, you should not, be a narrator, and I was like, yeah, but like my thing was always about being underground. So back
Yeah,
in those days, it
yeah,
was
of
about
course,
being underground.
of course. So T-Kid, let's start our conversation with New York City, where you were born and raised, and what that environment was like when you were a kid, as you were coming up, and with the burgeoning graffiti movement, the gang culture, and the music culture, and all that stuff that was going on.
Yeah, it was, it was the 70s for me. I mean, I grew up in the 60s and the 70s, man. But I came into my own in the early 70s, man. I remember running away from my mother and going to live with my dad down on Boynton Avenue and shit between Brooklyn and Watson. And that was a wild neighborhood, man. That was a
Yeah,
real wild neighborhood. And you know, it was like the only safe place really was like the park, man. That park over there on Morrison Avenue or Soundview Avenue. I forget the name of the avenue and shit, but it was right there next to the end of the Bronx River Parkway. And there was a park there, and me and my boy Satch and my brother, and this guy named Lefty Louie, we used to go there to play in the park and do tricks on the swings, man. And it was amazing. And that's how we got away from the environment. Because, not for nothing, the early 70s, man, the Bronx was burning. Drugs was rampant. Heroin was a major problem, man. And I'm talking BC, before crack and all that stuff, man. Heroin was a major problem, especially in my neighborhood. And, the only place that we could go and get away from all that was in that park. And, we used to do all these amazing acrobatic tricks on these swings and stuff. And, yeah, man. And basically that's what we did. And, graffiti was always like part of my life, man, and an escape for me, man. And I remember, man, getting on them subway trains, man, because I used to travel a lot, man, from my father to go see my mom. I used to get on that 6 train, go downtown. Or my grandmother, she lived up in Kingsbridge and 192nd and Aqueduct up there, man, where Padre lived. And I remember taking that train. I used to see all these pieces and stuff, man, and it was, I'm going to tell you one thing, man, but the gangs were still on the trains because there was this cat named DSR and the Savage Nomads. He was bombing, man, back at that time. DSR, I used to see names like Smokey and Danko, Diamond Dave, Green Eye Mike, Puma, Sex. Think Aztec, man. Yo, he
oh
was like a
yeah,
king on that thing.
yeah,
He
you're
was like
right. Aztec was a
yeah,
king.
he was a king on that 6 line, man. I'm telling you, man. Sex, Puma, all these cats, man. And I never thought I get to know any of them and stuff, man. But it wasn't until I got to my grandmother's house over there in Kingsbridge and shit, man. And I met this cat named Jesus Cruz. His name was Padre Dos, but actually at the time he was writing Bach 1, TBA, the Bad Artists, man.
Yeah, I know the
You know?
name.
Yeah, so him, this cat named Hip One, you know, and there was these other kids that lived there. Well, one, I think it was Rep 149 lived in the corner there also, man, and Set 2 was always there in that neighborhood. And those guys was killing stuff back in those days, you know. And I remember, man, meeting that kid and stuff, and he was mad cool, man, you know. And he wasn't, you know, like most of the people from Boynton and stuff, they were all hard and all about, you know, dipping in, you know how we were back in the days, man, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
But this guy, he was like suave, man. He was like cool and debonair, man. He was always like mellow and shit, man, you know. And he was like a big influence on me, man. So, you know, make a long story short, man, real quick, man, you know, gangs, you know, was a problem and stuff, and the park was like my haven and stuff, but somehow I got drafted in, and, you know, I wrote about it in my book and stuff, and talked about it in the DVD that I did with Love Machine Films, man, you know, the nasty, terrible T-Kid 170, aka Julius Cavero. You know, you know, I talked about that stuff so you guys could catch it there, but fast forwarding that stuff, man, you know, that was my sanctuary, that park, man, you know, and I learned a lot of stuff, man. But after getting, you know, into some trouble and getting shot up and stuff, you know, I ended up in the hospital, in Lincoln Hospital, the brand new Lincoln Hospital back in the days in 1977, over there on 149th Street. It was brand new, man. And they had a gunshot trauma center that was really good, and they took me there after that shit happened to me. And, you know, I decided right there and then, yo, man, that's it, man. I'm done with these gangs, and I'm done with this stuff. And, you know, my father disowned me, man. My mother was the only one that let me, you know, stay in her house and stuff afterwards. And I became T-Kid in that hospital, man, you know, T-Kid 170, man.
And you already at that point had creative inclinations. You will, because all right, you were King 13.
Right.
Were you interested in just getting up, or were you just interested in style writing, or what was influencing you?
I was really interested in the style of letters, man, because I used to see shit like from Phase 2 and Riff 170, man, Chain 3, you know, El Corrado, LK, you know, them guys, man. I used to see that stuff on the trains, and I wanted to do that stuff, man, you know. And I really, you know, was more leaning towards that kind of writing, man, on the trains, man, you know. I mean, I like doing the tags, you know, and King 13 was over there in Boynton Avenue and Watson Avenue with the Bronx Enchanters. Then when I was hanging out with the Renegades in Harlem and shit, man, you know, I was chilling with Danko and Smokey and them cats, man. I became Sen 102, you know.
Tell me about this. T-Kid, tell me about this piece we're looking at here. This is one of your early train pieces.
So check it out, man. So my father, you know, he moved to Yonkers after I got shot, right? And I remember fresh out of the hospital, I was limping all over the place, man. I was all fucked up. And I met this cat named Pessa. I was looking for some weed, and they told me, yo, man, go down to Riverdale. There's this guy there. His name is Postman, you know. He delivers and shit, man. He's got the weed and stuff, man. And I went down there and I met this cat named Pessa, and I told him, yo, man, listen, my name is T-Kid. You know, I'm a graffiti artist. You know, let's smoke some weed. And he was like, oh, yeah. I'm a graffiti writer too, man. I write Pessa, Int 1. He said Int 1, you know, Int 1. And I was like, all right. And he took me to the 1 yard, right? And we started tagging. Now I'm going to lead up to this piece, right? And I was like, yo, it was too much action in that 1 yard to do a piece. And I wanted to do a piece because I was like, yo, I want to do some of that LK shit, man. I want to do some of that Phase 2 bubble letter stuff, man. You know, I want to do shit like that, you know? And I had just met Tracy 168 too, and he was kind of like a big influence on me also. So, you know, that Sunday we was hitting the 1 yard, sat on Friday night, Saturday morning, tagging up all over the place and stuff, inside cars and stuff. And then he said, yo, I know this place is called a 1 tunnel. Let's go down on the 1 tunnel. That's how he talked, just like that. He had that real raspy voice, man. God, he was a super cool motherfucker, bro. I love that dude, Pessa, man. You know? And he took me to the 1 tunnel, man. I remember racking up some of that from a bodega, man. That's what was this Safeguard paint? I mean, this paint was whack, you know. And they had mint green, and I was like, oh shit, this shit is dope. And I racked up that paint from a bodega, man. Most of that paint, and Marsh used to have paint back then. This beige paint and stuff, and white paint and off-white paint. Marsh, you know, Marsh Inc. They had paint too, man. you know, and I used that stuff, man. And I remember Sunday going over to the one tunnel. He took me to the one tunnel. Oh my God, that place was like heaven. And it was kind of dark and stuff, man. And that was my first TKID piece, man. You know, you see a fucking dope rider. Harold was on that train, man. You know, and I didn't mean to go over him because, you know, my mentality, I didn't know nothing about that going over stuff. All I knew was there was a train right there. There's the light. Let me do a piece, you know?
Right.
And I did that TK with those two faces, and I did the int piece for Pesa. And if you notice, it says save gas, because that was happening back in '77, man. The fucking gas crisis and shit, man.
Right. That's
You
a good
know?
point. That's a good thing to point out, man, because
You know?
that in itself, you know, speaks to the time.
I'm telling you, man. But that was the time, and I remember, man. And the reason I wrote that is because I was trying to get in good with my dad, because my dad kind of disowned me after getting shot and the whole gang bullshit, man. He was like, and he was always complaining about, I gotta wait online for gas, blah 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 blah. You know. And I put that there just thinking about my father, man. Funny shit, man. You know, it's funny. I'm talking to you now, and I'm remembering why. You know.
Wow. Can you remember the name of the crew, MGA? What that stood for?
Magnificent Graffiti Artists, man. That MGA. That was and that's before TNB. Before I came up with the TNB. Right after that, we did that piece. As we were sitting there looking at that piece, MGA I put up for Pesa's crew, the Magnificent Graffiti Artists. You know, MGA, and you know, he later became down with TNT, but that's another story. As we're sitting there in the one tunnel, right, I came up with TNB, and it was two nasty boys, me and Pesa. He was my partner, man, you know, and that's how TNB got born right there in '77, man, you know. Now, this piece right here, let's look at that. That's my room. That's my room, and those are all Red Devil paints I used, man. Red Devil paint.
How old were you when you painted this? By the way, that's not you in the picture. I just want to let people know.
That's my primo hermano. That's my cousin, my first cousin, man. We grew up together like brothers and stuff, man. His name is Anthony. You know, they call him Nate Mantle. He's a cool guy, man. He's a mad cool kid, man. He's into the house music and spinning.
So this is your bedroom, and
that was my bedroom.
What did your parents think? They just
said, actually, that was my mother's. You know, because my father kind of disowned me, and I'm trying to get in good with him. That was my mother. She took me back. This is over there in 192nd and Aqueduct. You know, that was my room, and she loved it. Mom, you know, I got to give to my mom, man. Mom Dukes, man. She God bless that woman. You know, she loved my art, man. She always encouraged me to do art. In fact, she's the reason why I started drawing and stuff. When I was a little kid, you know, she would leave me with my grandmother and shit, and I used to cry, oh, mommy, and she was like, here. I remember she gave me a big yellow legal pad with the yellow paper and the blue lines and a red pencil, and she drew a house. You know, I was like about 4 years old, man, and she drew that house, and I remember I kept drawing. I used every piece of that paper of that legal pad till she came home, man. And I took that house and I put a fence on it, trees, and I just kept drawing and making it bigger and better and bigger and better and better. And that's how I started drawing, man. So, yo, Mama Dukes, much prop, man.
Yeah,
she said something chilling.
Not every mom was like that, so that's really good to
that's
hear.
True, man. No, I mean, she had her moments.
Yeah,
trust me, she had her moments.
Here, you're already defining your style or a style, a character development, which would carry over through the rest of your career. But, you know, clearly, I mean, we talked about this earlier about how style develops, how you find your own style. How did you manage to do that? Because I know you mentioned before that there were people you were influenced by. Tracy, one of the great old style masters. But I know up in the Bronx where you're from, a lot of the best ones were up there, from Billy.
Billy 67. You know,
Mitch.
Mitch 77, man. He was dope, man. But yo, before them, man, we're talking about Kid 17. Yeah. We're talking about Mark 198, man. We're talking about Jerome doing shit on the lines, man. We're talking, Chrome 100 shit. This is what I used to see, man.
You're naming legends.
I know, on the insides, bro. On the insides, you always saw FDT 56, Clyde 56, Hoyt 56. All them dudes, man.
But in terms of your interest in really becoming a style master, I mean, you didn't really bomb insides hard, did you? I don't remember you bombing insides hard. Were you more interested in style writing than anything else?
A little bit, I'm gonna tell you, man. I found the insides pretty hard. The only thing is the insides was so fucking bomb. It was
Yeah.
so bomb that I used to hit the windows a lot. Man, I used to get the colorful ink and do them colorful. You put two color inks and stuff, and
Yeah. Yeah.
in your uni wides and in your wide, And I used to do windows, and them shits got buffed real quick, man. You know.
Tell
So
me about this. Tell me about this piece we're looking at, because this was really advanced for this time,
okay,
particularly in how you're cutting design into your piece in that
so
way.
I was watching Padre. I was watching Part, man, a lot of Part. I was seeing a lot of Chain 3, a lot of cool pieces, man. A lot of cool pieces up on the one line and stuff. And I saw how they were doing designs and stuff. And this car right here, this car is called the So Good You Can Eat It car, man. It was me, Pessa. I did an int for him and Race. This kid named Ronald Cooper, man, from Yonkers. He became like the Nicky Barnes of Yonkers, that kid, man.
Mm.
He was another good guy, man, that I loved a lot. And it was funny because, by now I'm talking with Padre, I'm talking with Tracy. They're teaching me stuff, and I'm coming into my own and developing my own style. And I wanted my cars to kind of like to tell the story. If you flick to the next picture, you're going to see both, like the whole car, one on top, one on bottom. There you go. That's, the cop and robbers. And if you see in the middle between the names, it says So Good You Can Eat It. Those were those chocolate drips and stuff that were coming out, man. It was like like candy, man. And I remember we did that in the one tunnel, man. And that was all Red Devil paint. Red Devil paint, that was my favorite paint, Red Devil. And it was us three, and we had the cop and the robber, like, yo, what's up? And that was like the whole idea. I wanted my cars, because Tracy taught me about balance. Hey, when you do a piece, man, it's got to mean something. And Padre was like the same thing. Your style got to flow. You got to send a message when you do stuff. And this was what it was at. You got to remember, I came from, from criminal activities and stuff, and then that car represented that. And
Yep.
you see the thug there. You see the thug there, man. And you
So
see the cop there.
who is designing the characters?
Yo, dude, I got them shits from learn how to draw characters. That's what I got them things from, man. Yeah. Now this piece, this piece was dope, man. This piece was freaking awesome, man. This was a TKID Pearl car that I did in the one tunnel, right? And it was Pessa. Pessa was writing Pearl. He was like, I'll tell you, man, y'all, can you do a Pearl piece? And I was like, you know what? Yeah, I could probably do that. I'll try. And I rocked it, man. That was my first Pearl piece. And the reason I got so good so fast was because I would do, like, whoever painted with me or I went to paint with, I would end up doing their pieces, their outlines, and they would fill in, of course. And we did a lot of cars like that, man.
Yeah.
That was the beautiful thing about, having your little crew and your boys, man. Because, you get together, one guy rocked the outlines, and we would sit down and we would talk and conversate, we would confer and converse and otherwise hobnob and come up with a theme or something. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And that's what's so interesting about this culture, particularly then, and how collaborative it was and had to be to do these productions. It's something I missed, and it's something that was really strange for me once I started being this kind of independent artist, but that I missed that camaraderie you're talking about.
Exactly, man. That was the glue. That was the glue, brother. I got to tell you, man, that was the glue, man. It kept us together. It kept us motivated.
I'm sorry, but it's interesting how you're talking about this piece, because the TKID, the one thing that I guess in what you're saying about you having to help fill in and do the other piece, the style, is like you could see that, the blues and the pinks and the way they're blended. And again, talking about that balance that you learned about style writing, right?
Yeah.
That it wasn't just the style, it was also balancing color on a train.
Telling you, man, that was the thing. And it's funny because, I got when it comes to that balance and the use of colors, I got to give all credit to Tracy 168. He taught me that stuff. When it came to the style, I got to thank Padre, because Padre sat down and he taught me how to flow, man. He told me not to be scared to try things, that I never done before. He says, yo, do different shit. You're going to see things you like. You don't bite it. You incorporate it and make it your own. And, eventually, that's what happened, man. And, today I got my own style, man. People know who I am, man, when it comes to style letters and stuff like that. But
Yeah, I
yo,
mean, I think here by this point, and especially with that TKID, you're seeing how distinct you are with your style
yeah,
compared
man.
to some of the things that were happening at that period. One of the things that's
Telling you.
interesting, I wanted to ask you about this painting. This is an early canvas you painted, and it says
Yeah,
Butch.
yeah,
Um,
that was my brother. We call him Butchie,
mhm.
you know. And it was just like me just messing around with trying different things. Because one of the things that made a graffiti writer good was to be able to do other names. So we used to practice. And this was a real simple piece, man. You know, this was done like you know, with a Jafome and a Niagara. You know, I did an outline real close, like a big giant tag, and I outlined it. You know, I remember reading how phase two, you know, started doing pieces, man. He would do a big fat tag and stuff and then outline it and whatnot, you know. So
Yeah,
this is what this is, man. That's
ex
exactly what that is. You know,
explain to our guests what a GIF foam and a Niagara is.
well, Jafone came from Jafone oven cleaner and it was a fat cap, you know, and you use them, the Jafoams you used on Rust-Oleums, if I remember correctly, and the Niagaras, no, the Jafoams you could use on Red Devils, and the Niagaras you could use on Rust-Oleums and stuff. And Krylons,
And
you could use
crayons.
them on Krylons. You know, this paint here, man, this paint here, that was Red Devil, right? That was that Rust-Oleum Cascade green color, the Cascade green. No bullshit, that was epoxy turquoise, which was like a darker Cascade green. All right,
Correct.
azalea violet, azalea pink, which was
Yeah,
that light pink color around it.
another
You know,
epoxy.
raspberry from Krylon, raspberry, icy grape, the Chinese red from Red Devil with a little bit of that flame orange in it. The brown was nutmeg, and leather brown, bro, and pineapple yellow and white, glossy white, man. I
I
could tell you the
appreciate
colors,
you. I
man.
appreciate you saying all that because those were highly coveted colors and spray paint cans
Yeah,
for that
yeah,
time. One of the reasons the other thing that's interesting about the painting for me and why I put Kumo D next to him was that you have a reference to like the B-boy and back in them days, some of us used to rock ski goggles or
exactly, man. You know, you know, I posted a character one time, and some dude said, "Yo, what's that? Like the old school face mask, but it was really those ski goggles, man, because that was what we used to, you know, that was the move. That's what you rock back in the days. And as Kumo D has them there, he has some dope, you know, ski goggles on and stuff, and that's what we draw. But you know, you flip them around, you change them, and you make them your own. You know, that's what it was all about, man.
so you know, you move from trains and you start exploring canvases and paintings. This one is a war theme. This TKID,
Yeah,
the end, with a
yeah,
soldier with a gas mask, and he's
yeah.
full military gear, and
I did.
and an assault rifle. Tell me about
Yeah.
this painting.
Well, I saw that in a heavy metal magazine. I was like, yo, I want to rock that on a canvas, man. That shit is dope, man. You know, and I remember we used to throw my boy Trip Seven, Ralph, Rack Seven's older brother. He used to have an apartment over in St. James Park, man. We used to throw parties there, man. You know, and I used to bounce at the door and stuff. And we was looking at the heavy metal magazine, and he was like, "Yo, you should put this on the front of the door, paint it on the canvas, and put it on the front of the door, so they know we mean business. You know, when you come into the parties and whatnot."
Hmm.
But that was the whole thing, and you know, once again, it was one of those things where we converse, and otherwise hobnob, and came up with these crazy ideas, man. You know, the beauty of artists is getting together and how an idea comes in. And dude, man, I painted that canvas, and I'm gonna tell you, that canvas has a story to it. It has a serious story. You know, my ex, she threw it out the window. My boy Mac, man, he saved it. You know, I got it in California. I took it to Chicago. I left it in Chicago. I remember putting it up, you know, to re-outline the marker because it had faded. And my boy, my stepfather freaking drywalled it into a fucking wall, and it was there for like 2 years. So he went to do a repair, and he says, "Hey, I found your canvas." You know, and then I took, yo, I'm serious. And then I took it back. I took it home. I took it to Europe. It was like in 50,000 shows. Nobody would buy that canvas, man. And then finally, your boy Ket, man, Alan, I think he sold it, man. And now everybody, I saw it now. It's in a place called Maquis Art in Paris. And it's
Uh-huh.
sitting there. And yo, that canvas, bro, is history. That canvas right
Nice.
there, bro, is like worth so much, man. You know, it's funny how a lot of my stuff just like be going through drama and whatnot, man. You know, I don't know, man. That's been my life. My life's been, you know, drama, man.
Yeah,
You know,
but
but it's like
this art was in a way, I don't know if you would agree with this, but this I know for myself, and many have said this. This art saved our lives.
oh
Uh,
yeah. For me
it
especially.
yeah,
For me especially. For me
and
especially, man. I gotta tell you, man. Go ahead.
and
Go
it
ahead.
just opened up other opportunities, other creative opportunities, other social opportunities. That's the other thing, right? You would agree is that this art form took you to all kinds of neighborhoods throughout the cities and the 5 boroughs. And that
I'm
brings me
telling
here
you.
to the TBS period, the Vamp Squad period.
Oh,
And we're looking at two whole cars that are amazing. The first one, the Booze, Ken, and TKID with the character standing in for the eye with a cityscape in the back and
right.
this really great like kind of sun in the back with the TNB in the middle, you know, like saying,
Right.
okay, this is a TNB production right here.
Yo, let me tell you, man. You know, you mentioned the Van Squad, man. You know, that was one of the illest crews out, man. Let me tell you, I started that crew in Yonkers, man, back in I want to say October 1980, and the first members were myself, this kid named Mike Ike. He's the one that came up with the name Mike Ike or Mike Dust, we call him, because he liked to smoke that Reverend Ike Angel Dust shit, you know, and Shock 123, you know, and it was me, Shock, Ike, my brother, and Pessa. When Mike came in and he was like, yo, man, check it out, man. Yo, I vamped this dude today. And we're like, what? He goes, yeah, I vamped him. And I mean, what do you mean you vamped him? He goes, you look like a vampire. I vamped him, you know, like putting up the hood, like, and I was like, yo, that shit sounds dope, vamp, you know? And I was thinking about the Death Squad, because the Death Squad was, at that time, the Death Squad was pulling out the dope cars, man. You know, this is before TMT and all that. But I'm talking about, they were pulling shit out like crazy, you know? And I came up with that crew. And originally, it wasn't supposed to become what it became, but it did.
Right.
You know? It did, man. And at one point, man, you know, and I got to give, I give credit to all them guys, because not for nothing, man, the most notorious guy out of that whole crew was Shock 123. That kid, he was no joke, man.
Agreed.
That kid was no joke. And in fact, as you look in the bottom there, that shock piece, I did it for him. You know, that was a tribute piece to him because he was locked up doing time for, one of his activities and stuff, you know. And I remember Boozer was like, yeah, man, you got to do that shock piece, bro. And he sent it to him in jail and stuff. And from what I understood, he liked it too, man.
Yeah,
You know?
TBS, at that time, because we ended up teaming up with you guys, and
Yeah.
Cal. By the way, Cal, I spoke to Cal earlier. I told him we were on. He sends his regards. He was like, "Oh shit, say what's up to TK." That it would become something kind of unexpected because you had to defend the territory, and people were going over these big productions. So imagine you're doing these big productions and some toys are going over you. That was, as Min would say, some never forgive action. But what I found really interesting about TBS was when you guys started branching out to Staten Island, because nobody was really paying attention to Staten Island. So tell me about the Staten Island connection.
So it's real simple, man. It was me, Shock, and who else was with us, man? I think this cat Vista and Little Take One. And we was down on the one train, and I think we got down to towards like Rector Street down there, and we ran into these two cats, and I think it was Pino and Basic, and we was gonna vamp them, or they thought they were gonna try to vamp us, that kind of shit. And all of a sudden, Shock goes, yo, man, I'm Shock 123, and he goes, they go, where you from? We said, where you from? They go, Staten Island. And the minute they said Staten Island, Shock said, yo, Rin One from TD? And they go, yeah, that's our boy. We down with TD. And that's how
TD,
that's
the
how
Destroyers.
The Destroyers. That's how TBS and TD got together, and that's when the party started. That's when all the crazy shit really started, man.
Yeah.
And we ended up going to Staten Island. We ended up painting out there, and I think you showed before a piece that I did of Dr. Bad. It was a Rin One, Dr. Bad, and a Free. Free was Boozer. And Boozer later became my partner. And let me tell you, some of the best cars I did with Boozer, bro. Boozer was the man, bro. He could Let me tell you, I would rock an outline, but that kid knew how to take care of that outline, man. I didn't have to go back and show him where the outline was. He knew what to do, man. That
Right.
kid had his stuff tight, man.
One of the things
You know?
I wanna highlight about this whole car you did, the Shock with Shock and Sam, is that on the far right end of the car, you have b-boys breakdancing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the
Uh,
breakdance thing, man. That was the
yeah,
culture,
yeah.
man. That's what it was all about, man. Because you got to remember, right now, at that time, you know, you turn on BLS, you know, you turn on 92 KTU, you be listening to all this break music, man. You know, and B-boys break, you know, all that stuff, man. The fantasy 3, whatever they were and stuff, you know, and you know that's the one thing. We're going back to what Padre and Tracy 168 told me. Whenever you're gonna do a car, man, make it have a theme. And as you see, like the sun setting on the top car, you know, it was like an end of the era. Like I left TVS, and you know, and then down on the bottom car, it was like, you know what, we're celebrating life, and you know, my man Shock is locked up and shit. You know, let's celebrate him, let him know that he's still around and he's still, you know, we still thinking about him and stuff. And that's what it was all about, man. You know?
Yeah. I mean, again, you brought that same energy to the walls over the years. This one you did with Vulcan, and I don't know who the other artist was, but one of the things that
Bio Nicer,
by
Per, Sam,
Cat's
I
Crew,
think.
right?
Yeah, Tats, it was TAT crew at the time and shit. They were mad cool, man. And it's funny because I met Bio and Brim when I had that program called No More Trains. That's when I had disappeared for a little while and laid low, man. You know, I was trying to get my life together, man. You know, I was trying to get my GED and stuff, man. I was trying to change my life around and do positive stuff because I was so tired of the negative, the vamping, the robbing, and all that stuff, man.
Tell me
You
about
know,
the
it didn't fit
program.
well. Come again?
Tell me about the program.
No More Trains. And it was started by a group of guys named PACE, Prisoners Accelerated Creative Exposure. And what they did was, these were two ex-cons who put together this thing. They came from prison and they wanted to exhibit artwork of prisoners, right? And the chairman of the board was Roy Cohen. And if you remember back in that time, I want to say 81, when he had his 50th birthday, I did a happy birthday Roy Cohen canvas. And he had his birthday party at the 26th Street Armory over there in Lexington Armory. And these two guys, man, you know, one was a bank robber. The other guy, I don't know what the hell he was. I didn't want to say what he was. I found out later what he was, and I wasn't too happy about it. But Karamoko Byers and Bob Dunning, they had that program, and they, you know, I went in there because I got in trouble in a GED program that I was attending with men, and you know, I got into a fight with this dude, and they went to call the cops, and I had warrants for my arrest at the time. And the lady, I remember her, Sharon Marr. She was the head person there. She said, yo, I went to these guys. I met these guys at a seminar, man. Talk to them. They'll help you with your warrant. And they're also involved with art, and you're very artistic. You should go check them out. And that's what I did, man. You know, and I met Bob Dunning. I met Karamoko Byers. And I remember them asking me, he says, yo, if you had your own non-for-profit organization, what would you call it? And I said, No More Trains? I don't know. And they ran with it, man. They ran with it. And we were getting kids that were getting arrested for graffiti. They were sending them over to us, and I would put them to prime gates over there in the Washington, the Union Square area there, the Union Square Park, 14th Street, you know. And we painted a lot of murals there, man. I painted a lot of murals on all those storefronts, man, on 14th Street, on 13th Street, man, all that stuff, man. I did a lot of stuff, man, there.
It's
You know,
interesting.
and
I mean, have you since you know, done workshops for kids and
oh hell yeah, man. Let me tell you, man. You know, I was doing like let's talk. We're gonna get there, man, because there's a picture that pertains to that's coming up that I did in France. But this picture right here, this is the Hall of Fame, and I did that Hall of Fame when we used to do that shit illegally. It wasn't illegal, you know. It's when it was illegal to go. If you got busted, you get locked up, man. You know, and I rocked that piece there. I remember one night, man, I was so coked up, man. Me and Bio were painting on there. And I remember when a cop came, man, he pulled out his gun, man. Yo, I was so geeked out of my head. I was so paranoid. I was like, yo, cop, I thought that cop was going to shoot me, man. That shit was funny, bro.
wow.
You know, thank God I stopped doing drugs, bro.
For painting of all things, right?
For painting, man, you know, but that was, you know, that was part of the problem that I had back then and shit too, man. But, you know, that's another story.
Yeah,
but, you know,
it always surprised me how hostile cops saw us, you know, rather than, you know, take a more passive approach in dealing with writers and mischief. that they were always quick to the draw.
Right.
And I heard so many stories. I mean, I'm one of the fortunate ones that was really slippery when I was a kid. I was often running from them, but yeah, I mean, they were hostile to the community. TK,
They
tell me
did.
about this painting from this drawing rather from 1979.
So this piece here is a piece that I did on the one train with Baby 168, man. God bless that dude. That's another talented artist that nobody talks about, and they should,
That's
because
right.
he's so
He is
dope.
phenomenal.
You know, me and Baby 168, man, we were in the one tunnel, man. He was doing. I did this piece with the skull, with the big spliff, and he did next to it. He did a baby with a chick in front of it, man, and we got raided, man. We got raided, man, and we got popped too, man. That shit was fucked up. We got popped, man, but it was a good experience. These cops, man. Officer Edwards, man. You know, he called me with a half an ounce of weed. He made me get rid of it. He told me to get rid of it. He didn't bring me up on that. And basically, we ended up getting DATs behind that shit. And, you know, they were cool. He was like, yo, you guys are talented. Why are you wasting your time painting trains? And we're like, yeah. We'll never do it again. We'll never do it again. You know, this is when you know, cops really, this particular cop, and he was a brother, you know, he really cared for the youth. You could tell. You know, I'm not going to say all cops are like that. You know,
No.
there's a lot of scumbags out there that got something to prove.
So what was your penalty? Did you have to do the buff?
Yo,
Or?
that was the first time. Nah, man, yo, dude, all it was a slap on the wrist, a DAT, never do it again, and it's dismissed. You know, if I
And
stood clean for
now
6
it's a
months, it got
felony, right?
dismissed. Yeah, it wasn't nothing, man. It was nothing, man. Trespassing, really. You know, and that was the first time. The second time that I got popped, man, and that was kind of messed up. And there's a whole story to that. I don't even want to talk about that. That one I
Right.
had to pay a fine. I had a fine with that one. And the third time I got popped, man, you know, I got over for some reason the third time because they were supposed to give me penalties and stuff. I gave a fake name and whatnot, and it never came back, bro. You know. You could do that back in the days, man. You know, give a fake alias and stuff. Tracy taught
Yeah.
me that shit, man.
Now that the
You know?
penalties are very severe. The
Oh
drawing we're
man,
looking at, and we don't stop, is with a
you
b-boy
don't stop.
character with a
Yeah,
big
that's
boombox
what
that has
the
92 KTU and BLS on it. He's got his Pumas with fat laces and his name
yeah,
buckle and T-Kid running down the side of his leg. Of course, his
yeah.
goggles and his fro. And he happens to be on Bronx Street with the wild style.
That was, you know, whenever we drew, we represented what was going on in the era, and that's what my art brings, and that's from back in the '80s. You know, that's when the fat shoelaces was out, and I did many drawings like this, man, trying experimenting with that character, coming into my own. Everybody used to say that I bit the Tracy character. That's why they called me Tracy's kid, because you know he said that I bit his character, but actually he influenced me big time. And if you're gonna call me Tracy's kid, listen, I could be called worse. That man is a
Yeah,
genius. That man is like the ultimate artist as far as I'm concerned. And if you really listen to him, you can hear what he's saying. And he's dropping knowledge when it comes to art, when it comes to life, when it comes to people. The man, he's a very intelligent dude, man. He's just wrapped up sometimes and gets caught up. But yo, if you really listen to him, trust me,
all
the
right.
man is
Props to Tracy for sure. We were
I'm
discussing this
telling
map
you.
before. This is an old map, early 70s map.
Yeah.
Uh,
Hey,
you have a great
you could
story
actually
about
find
this.
you can find that map at tkidhouse.com. That's with the Emperor Gallery in Rouen, France. You know, that's a map that I had, right? And the map is from the 70s. The piece I did was like the first time, like the piece I did in the Hall of Fame, but that was like the first way I did that outline. And I actually did the piece later on in the 80s. I want to say like around 82, I did that piece on that map. So that's an old map from back in the days, right? And I remember, you know, like my mom, she kept all my art, man. You know, she kept like my black books and stuff, and I thought I lost them and stuff. So man, my mom moved to Chicago. She moved to Chicago, and you know, she took all my stuff with her, and it was like memories. It was with her photo albums and everything, and the pictures. And I know whenever I go up there, I always find some gem from the past, man. You know, and I
Right.
found that map, man. You know, and this is from a black book that she had in her basement. All these pieces, man. You know, yeah, I touched them up because the black was fading. I'll touch them up here and there. But these are all drawings. Like that piece right there, that's like from the 70s, man. I was chilling with Jimmy Haha, man, back in 78, I want to say, 77, 78. and we were smoking. He came in and he was like, "Yo, I got that Panama Red," and I was like, "Oh, Panama Red." You know, back then weed was good. It wasn't as powerful, but it was good. You had Panama Red, you had Acapulco Gold, you had Malta. Used to go down to Harlem, man, and 126th Street and get that J Black, bro. You know, that good shit.
I love it. Yeah, not only were you digging up drawings, you were digging up old paintings as well.
Oh, this one was in bad condition. I had to fix it up, you know, like retouch it up here and there and stuff. This one I did in an abandoned building, and actually it was part of a collection that I did with what was it, the Sidney Janis Gallery, and two of the they ended up with two of the canvases. I never got them back, but this one I kept, and it was in the abandoned building, and it was like for the clubhouse, and it was hanging out there for the longest, you know. And that was the building next to where we used to bring all the girls and shit and try to make out with them. You know what we did back in the days and
Yeah.
stuff, man.
Well,
You know,
what's really kind of stands out to me, you know, about this all too, is that, you know, here you have a graffiti writer talking, yeah, you know, shit was up at Sidney Janis Gallery. For those that don't know, Sidney Janis is a very important art dealer, a very important American art dealer who's on 57th Street, and had a lot of great contemporary artists, and he believed in graffiti
yes.
before anybody, and he had some of the, you know, blue chip artists in his gallery, and here you are saying, yeah, you know, whatever, I was down with that.
I'm telling
So
you, man. Listen, man. It's funny the people you come in contact, and you never, you know, you didn't think twice about it, man. You didn't think twice. It was what it was, you know. And that was part of, and it never went to that collection. I was able to keep it, and not for nothing, it ended up in a good place where I can go and appreciate it, sit and have coffee and look at it and appreciate it, you know. And you know, that's the one thing about, especially when it comes to my old art, like the stuff from back in that era that I get rid of, you know, that I give to other people and stuff. I like it to go to someone that's going to appreciate it. You know, and I understand people look at art as an investment and they want to make money. And yeah, I get that. I get that. But it really feels good when somebody really appreciates it, and you build a relationship with these people, and they become your friends, and you can go to their house and sit there and talk with them and reminisce and relive the creating of that artwork. Because you got to understand, whenever we sell a piece of art or give a piece of art, we're giving a piece of ourselves away, a part of our soul, a part of who we are, man. Whenever we get, you know, whenever we pass that art, that's what we're passing. We're passing ourselves. You know, we represent who we are, our culture, our life, you know, what we believe, what we don't believe, it reflects in our art, man. You know what I'm saying?
in this painting that I'm looking at from that you did in Paris, obviously you
The
believe you're a king
politician.
because you got your character has a crown and wings, and it's got the 170. So you're living right now. Tell me about this project with Agnes B in Paris.
Yo, so that was Palisade art. You know, it was the New York Paris connection. It was representing the connection between art from New York and Paris, that connection that we have, you know. And you know, that was started a long time ago when Agnes B met guys like Futura and all those guys and Sharp and everybody, you know. And and A1 and Toxic, all those dudes. You know, I was asked to do this for the opening of a cultural hip hop center called La Place at the time, and they invited me to paint this wall, and it was a short wall, but it was 100 yards long, and that's just part of it. And you know, being that it's Memorial Day, I thought it would be cool that you show that, showing the soldiers, you know. And I got to give your respect to the soldiers, you know, that died for our country and stuff like that. Shout out to them. But I also want to give a shout out to all the brothers, man, that fell. You know, my man Nick 707, rest in peace. You know, Phase 2, rest in peace, man. You know, Stan 153, rest in peace. And all the countless others, man, that gave their life, man, for this game, man, for this graph culture. You know, it was a game that became a culture, man. It
Yeah.
became a culture. You know, we played doing graffiti. We didn't take it serious. And now, you know, and me going to Paris and meeting people like Agnes B, meeting all the French artists out there, all the graffiti artists, guys like Seacos, man. You know, catching up with John One out there, man. You know, wow, man. You know, seeing
Yeah,
this whole thing, it's really amazing, man. It's really
I can
amazing.
imagine. Well, T-Kid,
You know?
I will go back on your comment and say, if as we survey your work from being a young kid, you took it seriously, life and death. It's always risky business running the tracks and the tunnels, man. And, you know, it paid off. I mean, this is a beautiful mural you did. And I'll read what it says because it's done at Tough City. It says, "It's not about the person. It's not about the crew, what you did to me, nor what I did to you. It's about the art."
Yep. You know, that piece right there, man, you know, there was a lot of beef going on and stuff, man. And I just wanted to send a message that, you know, listen, you know, we're past this, man. You know, we're past this. This is bigger than one person. This is bigger than one ego. That this is about all of us, man. And there's enough for everybody, man. You know, we inspire, and it's our responsibility to teach the new artists that are coming up, you know, what the foundation was, what it was like, what it can become, and how you can get past that. You know, I learned to let go of my resentments. I learned to let go of the anger, you know, that I had for all the people and stuff that I didn't like or didn't like me. I'm learning to let go of that stuff and realize that, you know what, this is about us making the world a better place, man. What do artists do? We make the world a better place, man. Tracy once said it. He said, "What have you done to make the world a better place? What have you done?" You know?
Well, good. Yeah. I mean, it's true because one of the things you've been a great ambassador for the culture. You've been you give to it and it gives back to you, and you know it finds you in all these places around the world where you find other writers to collaborate. And these works that we're looking at now are the ones that you did in Paris with John Wan.
Yeah, man. You know, that was, you know, John Won was so gracious, man. You know, he invited me and my boy Woos, man, to go over to his studio. And, you know, he said, "Yo, rock a couple of canvases and stuff." And I think we did about 10 or 15 of them. And then he did his thing and we did a collaboration. And it was just for fun, man. You know, and they're sitting there. They're sitting there. But, you know, it was just like, okay, man, you know, John Won, man. You know, and the connection between me and John Won was Rack 7. Rack 7 was one of my proteges, man. His big brother was my best friend who died, man. Man, he rest in peace, man. You know, and I was able to teach, you know, Rack 7 how to do characters and how to do pieces, man. And he in turn, you know, influenced guys like J1, BBC, man, who I later ended up painting with in Germany, out of all places, man. By the way, big props to my peoples out in Germany, man. I love you all. Berlin, yo, Hanover, Bremen, in the house. You know, all my peoples out there, I love you. My special friends over in Heidelberg, you know, want to say what's up, y'all. You know, it's just amazing what this graffiti has allowed me to experience, man. You know, this culture has taken me beyond the fucking corner, brother. Beyond that crackhead, beyond that wine or that old deed or whatever, man. You know, it took me to places.
I mean, it looks like too in your paintings, it's allowing you to kind of like realize yourself as an artist, you know, in different formats, different techniques. And these works, you mentioned that this painting sold right away, and of course that's something, you know, a lot of us could hope for with some of these works.
Let me tell you, man, you know, that was a good experience, man. You know, these paintings, like the one before and this one, and a couple other, you might show them, I don't know. But that was for the Stroker Art Gallery. It was a street art gallery in Belgium, out of all places, you know. And there we were in what was it, Brussels? Brussels, Belgium? Yeah, Brussels. It was in Brussels, a street art gallery, and it was a combination of street artists and old school graffiti artists, and it was a collaboration. You know, me and Coke got down together and did a show together, and it was such a great experience. And Quick came by, you know, Quick RTW, my man, what's up? Love that guy, man. He's another good brother. You know, and we were able to share our stuff and everything. You know, all these canvases that I did there in 3 days on the spot. My wife was helping me do these things, man. You know, we was getting down. She was like, you know, she was telling me, use this color, use that color, don't use this color. And I was like, okay, whatever. And I did this and I did that. And you know, it was so much fun, man, to do something different. Because I wanted to get, you know, I always remember when Futura did the breakout car and he was like, yo, I needed to get away from the letters and stuff. So I wanted to do something like that. But, you know, not for nothing, for me, it's always about the letters. It's always about doing the style. You know, I'm going to tell you, man, I'm gonna tell you, man, it's freaking awesome to experience and met the people that I have met, man. You know, here goes the
Yeah.
bicycles that we did. This is all part of that show, man. I did a bike, Cope did a bike, John One did a bike, and a couple of other artists from Europe did bikes, man. These guys are tremendous, man, and amazing, man.
So
You know,
TKID, at what point do you feel you realize, like, wait a minute, you know, that this is no longer, you know, my childhood experience. This is my life experience. This is my life's work.
I'm gonna tell you, man, and I gotta thank my wife for this, man, because you know, at one point, you know, I worked all my life, man. My dad taught me how to work. You gotta work to the day you die, blah 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 blah. You know, and I remember, man, he died. He died, man. He went right from work to the hospital. 44 days later, he passed away. He caught what they call mesothelioma from asbestos. You know, and I promised myself I wasn't going to do that. And I remember when I made 25 years on the job, I worked for the city of New York as a painter supervisor. You know, I was like, fuck that. There was a lot of drama going on. I was like, yo, I'm out of here. So I retired, man. I did my 25 and I retired, and I was young, and I'm still not collecting my pension, and my pension is there waiting for me. So, you know,
That's good to
but
hear.
you know, I remember, you know, I kept saying, yeah, you know, I hooked up with my girl and stuff at the time we weren't married. And I was like, yo, I need a job. I need a job. I need a job. And I did get a job. And I realized I can't work for people. I can't put up with people's nonsense and their bullshit, man. And I remember getting fired and having my name in the post because motherfuckers wanted me to move a freaking couch with bed bugs and shit, man. And I told the guy, I'm going to punch him in his head, man. Give me a freaking Tyvek suit, you know, and I got fired and shit. And I remember telling my wife, man, I said, you know what? Fuck this. I'm going to Europe. You know, I started crying like a baby. I'm going to be honest. I was crying like a baby. And I remember telling her, man, and she was like, well, if that's what you want to do. But, you know, instead she said, you know what, Julius, man? Why don't you do your art, man? You're a fabulous artist, man. You know, you can do this, man. You've done it all your life, not in, you know, in bits and pieces, but now you can do it all the time. And guess what, dude? Guess what? That's what I did, man. So I got to give her props, man, for that, because she's the one that really pushed me to doing this. You know, and I realized that, you know what, this is my life, this is my passion. And you know what, I work harder now than I've ever worked in my entire life, and I love it. I love it.
Yeah, the question is if you love it so much, is it really work?
It fucking, nah, this is not work. I could sit here all day. Listen, I'm working on a train for my boy in Chicago. I'm working on a dollar bill for some other guy from some gallery. I'm working. I'm just working. I'm getting a guitar in here the other, you know, tomorrow or someday, man. Another guy wants me to do. Listen, man, it's awesome, man. It's just creative expression, man. You know,
But it's also therapy for you. And one of the things, because we're looking
absolutely.
at the Times Square painting, and we were talking earlier about that, you know, reminiscing of what Times Square was to us as kids.
You know, let me tell you, man, we must have been. I was 13. My brother was 11. Satch was 14, I think. And Four Eye Willie, this kid Willie, we used to hang out. We used to call him Four Eye Willie because he had glasses. You know, and back in the days, we were stupid that way. We made up names and stuff. And we used to get on that 6 train, man, from Boynton Avenue. We used to get on Elder and hop on the 6 train and take it downtown to Grand Central and get on the shuttle to Times Squares. And we used to get off in Times Squares. And at that time, you know, the movie theaters still had a lot of movies in them. There was a couple of porno joints. They had the little peep shows here and there. But they also had a lot of little places, man, where they would do magic shows and freak shows, and they had Playland where you went in and, you know, it wasn't like a video arcade. There was pinball machines. There was this one dude, you know, where you had the gun and you shot the freaking cowboy and, you know, stuff like that, man. You know, we would go there, and that's what this painting represented, man. Because, you know, you saw burlesque here and there, because that's really what it was back then in the 70s, was burlesque. It wasn't until after, you know, the porno explosion came in that it really turned to what it was.
Amazing.
But in the early 70s, you still had a lot of places, you know, it was like a big tourist trap, man, down there.
Yeah,
and they had all these really great stores and stuff.
It was really grimy. So TKID, in the final 5 minutes, I want to take some questions from everyone. And,
sure.
And in the background, we're going to play your trailer from your movie. Mark
Oh, yeah.
Echo asked about your involvement in the video game, Getting Up.
Yo, that was awesome. That, you know, I got to thank Alan Kep for that, because he put me down with that, man. And it was a really good experience, you know, getting to work with Rakim, Coke 2, you know, all the other guys that were involved with that, man. You know, that was a good experience, man. You know, and it was very lucrative. Thank you very much for that. I really appreciate it, and I'm really grateful for that. You know, the movie here, man, the documentary, man, I got to give a shout out, of course, to Love Machine Films, man. They put it together. You know, they still got it. I think it's showing on Google Play and whatnot. I got some copies that I sell every once in a while. And those are my home movies, my personal movies that I kept throughout the years, you know, of me painting all over the world. And it talks about that. You know, everything we're talking about that, it gets into it in that documentary, you know. It's a good documentary. It's awesome. I think Carly and you know, she did a great job with that, man. You know, I give her much props and love and stuff, man. You know, I ain't make a penny out of it. It's okay. It's all good. But my name is out there.
Yeah, that's right. It's documented. Estudio Ruiz Lorenzo asks, what inspired your Mad Hatter piece?
Oh, the Mad Hatter piece? The Invisible T. That's the Invisible T. That's funny. I did that in the Hall of Fame with Bio. We was doing a wall and stuff, man. And, you know, it was always about coming up with something different, man. You know, that big giant hat. And, of course, the hat was from a Tracy pimp, because Tracy used to do the pimp character, the Tracy pimp character. So I didn't want to do the Tracy face, so I made it the Invisible T. You know, no face, just goggles. The monocle yeah. Glass thing, you know, that's what that came up with, man. You know?
All Natural 77 asks, do you think it's important to study the foundation of graffiti to progress and build on the art form?
Absolutely, man. You know, it's always good to get down with the foundation and understand what it's all about. Don't just go to one artist, you go to different artists, many different artists, and there's tons of us. There's tons of us, and talk to them, you know, or watch them or watch their work. And you always see something in all their pieces. You always see like something that's basic, and that's what you want to capture, because from that basic part is where you develop yourself, from the basic part, you know. And you know, I'm not the end all when it comes to style. There was so many style, Dondi, Style Master, man. Yo, Scheme. Oh, I love Schemes. Yo, TMT crew, man. Yo, those are my brothers, man. The real TMT crew, not these other guys. Yeah.
Right.
You know, Team, K, Scheme, Agent,
in the final minute, you have a final minute before Instagram cuts us off. I want to very quickly thank you so much, brother. You're a style legend, style king. You're so important to the culture globally. And I thank you for taking the time to spend with us here at the Museum of Graffiti. And so you have about a minute or so to give shout outs or speak your piece.
All right, shout out. First, I want to say, you know, tkidhouse.com. That's where my art is in Rouen Gallery, the Ampere Gallery in Rouen, France. I'm going to want to give a shout out to Posca Markers, man, in France, man. Those guys always looked out for me. Beautiful people, man. You know, I want to give a shout out to Stuart Magazine. It's a street art magazine based out of Paris, man. Them guys are dope. My man Woos, my man Scheme. I want to give a special shout out to my friends over at Bowery Boogie, man. Those guys, yo, Rebel Knowledge. She's a cool person, man. She's done a lot of interviews with a lot of artists, man. You know, 212 Gallery, man. Thank you guys for all the love you shown me. You know, everybody, Next Street Gallery out in Paris, man. My friends, Elodie, David, I love you guys, man. You know, and for all the people, man, that dislike me or have problems with me, listen, man, from the bottom of my heart, I hope your heart changes, man. You know, I'm doing the best that I can do to be a better person, you know, and I wish nothing but the best for everybody, man.
Much respect for that.
That's just the real deal, man, because you know what, man? We're in this together, man, and we can make a world a better place. We're still kicking it through this COVID shit. Fuck that shit, man. We live in life. You know,
there it is. You got 6, 7, 5, 4,
3, 2, 1. Peace.
That's it. She did.